So before we get into it, and just picking up on Marcus's intro and indeed his talk, are there any narrow-minded scientists in the room? There's a gentleman over there. And I see Richard thinks, yeah, there's quite a few. I picked up Marcus really had it in for physicists. Is there anyone in this room who's willing to stand up and say, I'm a physicist? Come on, stand up. Okay, so I'll do a deal. I'm just going to ask you, all you scientists, and particularly you physicists, open your minds. So I'm talking about megatrends, megatrends and opportunities, and we hear a lot about this stuff. And what is a trend? What is a megatrend? I think a megatrend is a movement that is heavily influencing government policy, government investment, company investment, and our own investment. And it doesn't need to be doing all of those things at once, but certainly at the moment there are some megatrends. Now I don't go along with all of the things that you hear people saying in these conferences. I think change has been with us for at least 2,000 years. Constant change has been with us for 2,000 years. But certainly there are certain things over the last 5, 10, 20 years that we've been hearing a lot, and are becoming real, and they're going to continue. And I think that's the important point, that they're going to continue. And the other important point is they present us with opportunities. I'll be talking a little bit about what I mean by Inkjet later, and I'm glad that Dee is here in the audience, who's also going to offer a slightly different perspective on Inkjet from some of the other speakers. But just thinking about megatrends, energy, price of energy has gone up. Is it going to stay up? It's not going to go quite as high, but it seems that energy is gently on the up. Gas prices again spiked, but again will go up. Gas and energy, and anyone who makes ink will know that getting hold of raw materials can be tricky. Getting hold of particular raw materials can be tricky. So supply chains, difficulty of supply. Again, we've seen a spike, but I think there's a trend that's going to continue. We've heard a bit from Sean about packaging, about the resilience of packaging, and I'm going to be talking a bit about that. But certainly something that I think is a trend is that plastic is seen as a problem. Plastic actually is a problem, that people have been looking at how to deal with plastic waste for quite a while now. It's an unsolved problem today. It's likely to be an unsolved problem for some time to come. Paper, on the other hand, is already largely recycled today. So there is a general mood that plastic packaging is bad and paper packaging is good. I see that as continuing. Agriculture, we read and hear a lot about agriculture. Chemicals have gone up very significantly. I'm going to be talking about agriculture. You've seen from our stand that agriculture is something that we're very interested in. But certainly the costs of agriculture, the importance of stability in agriculture, and that's a trend. And Inkjet, in its widest sense, has got a role to play there. So one of the things I'm going to do is talk about these opportunities, and I'm going to put some numbers to them. How do these opportunities compare with where we've been in wide format, the kind of thing that Mark's just been talking about, that very exciting machine, and ceramics, which has been the backbone of an awful lot of development in Inkjet. And all of the opportunities I'm talking about are certainly as big as ceramic, and agriculture is way bigger than ceramic. And so I just want everyone to take each of these things quite seriously. But again, you don't need to take my take on it. You I think, quite reasonably will see it through your spectacles and just see what it means for you. So we're Archipelago. We've been going for a few years now. we're an inkjet company. We're very much part of the inkjet family, part of the worldwide inkjet family, part of the Cambridge family, but we see inkjet much more broadly than piezos and nozzle plates. They've got a place, but inkjet is broader than that. It's about what you can do by controlling a drop and shooting it in a controlled way through the air. And when we started, we wanted to create the next big thing in inkjet. We didn't know what it was, we didn't have it, but we were interested in the next big thing. And also, you may remember that at the time, an awful lot of money and energy was going into these very little drops. An awful lot, some very well-known companies were spending an awful lot of money developing quite expensive heads that would jet very little drops. And so we thought, let's just look in the other direction. Let's think about what you can do with big drops. Nothing wrong with little drops, but what can you do with big drops? So we were biased towards big drops. We went out and talked to lots of people. What would you like to do? And they came back, and we were interested by what we heard. There was a lot of interest in inkjet jetting glue. And then we hadn't understood that spray painting was we knew it was very common. We didn't realize it was an unsolved, rather undeveloped technology that people who used it didn't like. So a number of people said, we'd like you to take our paint and inkjet it and create and inkjet paint onto our cars, onto our furniture, onto our bridges. And so it was from that we started thinking, and we created PowerDrop. We created PowerDrop on a kitchen table. Four of us sat around a table and said, how are we going to make this work? And so we started with inkjetters with the concept of a nozzle, but inkjet nozzles are too small. Let's make it a bit bigger. So we made the nozzle about 10 times bigger. So the PowerDrop nozzle is a 500 micron nozzle. Then you want lots of energy. Piezos, again, all very well, but they're not very scalable source of energy. We looked at different sources of energy, and we thought compressed air, that's very scalable. So actually the energy in a PowerDrop nozzle is probably about 1,000 times the energy of a piezo head. And then we thought, the inkjet system, if you look at an inkjet ink system, it's this big, let's make it this big. So actually in this case, we made it much smaller. The ink feed is measured in millimeters in a PowerDrop head. But the basic system is you've got a nozzle, you fill it from the front, you shoot it out from the back. Fill it from the front, shoot it out from the back. And that's the system, and you want to do it quickly. And this is a PowerDrop drum. I'm not sure I'm going to pass it around, but you can come and pick it up later. And what this is, it's hundreds of thousands of nozzles drilled into this drum, very precise. But the principle is you load from here, from the outside, the inside stays clean. You load from this bit, you rotate it, and you blow it out. And you blow it out in a very controlled way. The drop comes out at about 2 meters a second. It's an inkjet system, that's the point. It creates drops. If you look at this under a high-speed camera, you get these very controlled drops shooting through the air, and when they land, they stay there. So all of that is very like inkjet. But what we can do with it is different. I bumped into somebody earlier on, and they said, I don't know your name, but you're the guy with the drum. And that's right, that's who I am. So, that's this, so I won't go through this again, but the key point here is that again, don't think of it as comparing it with litho or flexo or piezo. Think about spray. So with spray, 50% of the spray goes into the atmosphere. You'll be familiar with inkjet that nearly 99% lands on the page of the ceramic. That's totally normal to you, but in other worlds, that's revolutionary. 3 big applications, and I'll go through these one by one. Industrial coating, furniture and flooring is our main focus, but think of industrial coating. Replacing plastic with paper, that's a huge opportunity. And farming, even bigger. So we started making this machine. So we have a variant of this that we built for a large furniture maker, and it's an industrial painting machine. If you buy furniture from IKEA and Milton Keynes, take it home, saw it up, you'll discover it's actually made of cardboard, and it's full of air. And a great thing about mass manufactured furniture is it's very light. It's very light. It's very easy to transport. One person can assemble it. If it falls on you, it doesn't hurt you. But it's difficult to paint because if you roller coat it, you crush it, and if you spray it, you lose an awful lot of paint. And the numbers, I think, are astonishing here. A single line will waste, a single line this wide, not going particularly fast, will waste £1 million of paint every year. A spray line will waste £1 million of paint, and that paint has to be collected, and it's either then buried or burnt. And when it's burnt, that's 6,000 tons of CO2. So if you think of Elon Musk's Tesla cars, they save about 2 tons a year, one car. And one 600mm powder drop drum saves 6,000. So it's 3,000 times as effective as one Tesla car. Tesla car costs about £40,000. So one of these drums is equivalent to £120 million worth of Tesla cars in terms of carbon offset. Yeah. And we're going to put that out on Twitter. But this is big. This is big. Because of the timing, so I don't know who's in charge of timing, but and I know Fraser's going to give me a.
You've got a couple of minutes.
Okay, a couple of minutes. So packaging is a big business. It's $1 trillion. It's $1 trillion business. People say, what does that mean, $1 trillion? There's all the money that you sell, all the money that goes to DS Smith and Ball and all these people. The actual amount of money they sell their packaging for to the people who buy it is $1 trillion. So it's a big business. We know we use packaging every day, every minute, and we buy stuff. It's in a box, and the box comes in a box. But there's a general trend. Plastic is 300 billion, paper is 300 billion. There is a trend. There is a desire to move from plastic to paper. Now, this is a mega trend. This is a mega trend. If 20% of plastic moves to paper, that is a $60 billion opportunity of new business. And that is available to everybody in this room. And you just run the numbers. A paper package might cost 5p. We're talking about 1,200 billion packages. So if one machine makes 200 million packages, that's 6,000 machines. So I was saying that this is comparable to ceramic. So if you think of ceramic, there are 10,000 lines making ceramics, about 7,000 or 8,000 digital lines. People buy a new digital line, about 1,000 new digital lines a year. This single opportunity is equivalent to that. And in terms of what the technical thing that we're doing, we're coating the paper to make it waterproof. We're using powder drop to put coatings onto the paper to make it waterproof, but we're doing it in an important way. We're enabling that paper to be recycled by normal recycling. So this is allowing paper to replace plastic truly sustainably using current in-place recycling technology. So this is a big opportunity for us. But agriculture is the third one, and it's even bigger. So everyone knows that everything's grown in fields, but you may not know that crops are sprayed 6 times in their lifetime. They're sprayed with fungicide and insecticide and herbicide. And if you're a strawberry, you get sprayed many, many more times than 6. You probably don't want to know how often strawberries are sprayed. They're sprayed a lot. But you've got huge amounts of chemicals going onto these crops, whether they need them or not. And they're very expensive. You get farmers on the Today programme saying my chemicals gone up by a factor of 3. I don't know if I'll be able to spray them this year. And so it's a huge opportunity. We're working, talking to people. So there's an opportunity in agriculture for about 1 million machines. Now, they can't be as expensive as the things that Inca make, but we can sell 1 million of them. And again, this isn't just about us, Archipelago. This is something for the Inkjet community. But it's a huge, huge opportunity, and it's real, and it just answers all of these things of reducing cost, making things more sustainable, interfering less with the environment. Lots of things are happening in Archipelago. I want to really emphasize, we're not doing this on our own. We're working with big packaging companies, we're working with paint companies, we're working with ink companies. And so if we're not already working with you, we'd certainly like to talk to you. But and we're always willing just to chat and just tell people about these opportunities. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Give him a round of applause.